Yesterday was such a roller coaster of emotions for me because I was so happy after watching the Fighter Pack 3 trailer. I mean, you can go back and watch my initial, I guess it's kind of a reaction video. It's not really, it's just kind of my initial thoughts on the trailer. I was so happy, not necessarily because I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, because I'm just not, but because of how big it was for the community, right? This is a character, or at least these characters are characters that some people wanted. In fact, a lot of people wanted, and a lot of people who didn't want it didn't even know that it was a possibility to want. But the people who did want this character, they had no intention of it ever becoming true. So when a character like that is revealed, I couldn't help but be happy for those people. Like I said, I've never been a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. I've seen probably less than like 30 episodes. And I've seen none of the movies. Despite that, I came out of that trailer so happy, and I was so happy specifically for the community because I thought there was no possible way for people to complain about it. And the first thing I end up seeing as soon as I come out of it on Discord, on Twitter, and YouTube was comments that made it sound like NetherRealm had somehow done something wrong here, when in fact they'd done something incredible. Yep, somehow people found a way to be upset about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being added to Injustice 2. I didn't think it was possible. I saw so many people like me who were initially very, very excited, whether they were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans or not, only to be immediately disappointed because of a small section of the community who decided they wanted to be verbally outraged about this. If you're upset about TMNT, if you're upset that people are getting access to this character, a character that, like I said, was a pipe dream, how unlikely was it to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Very unlikely. None of us predicted this. If you're upset about actually getting this character, you're not also simultaneously allowed to be one of the people who are hoping for Spawn or Rorschach, because neither of these two characters are DC characters either. You can argue that Rorschach is technically a DC character because of what's going on with Rebirth, but before that, up until that point, he had no connection to the DC world, so don't try to pretend that that makes him a DC character. And don't try to say that we're upset about TMNT being added to the game because he's not a DC character, because I guarantee I could point out plenty of non-DC characters that you would be very happy to see. The only reason you're upset is because you didn't get the character you wanted, which is understandable if you were holding out for a character like Rorschach or Spawn, but don't go verbally, or I guess textually, saying things like, well, like this. Because not only are you sending a bad message to NetherRealm, because think about the message you're sending to NetherRealm. If you're one of the people who did want Spawn or Rorschach, again, think about what you're telling NetherRealm. You're saying, we don't want Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They would have to then infer from that, well then, okay, I guess you probably don't want Spawn, right? I guess you probably don't want Rorschach. Neither of those characters have connections to DC either. Obviously now Rorschach does with what's going on with Rebirth, but again, for the sake of this example, I'm not going to consider him a DC character because DC Rebirth is a very recent thing. So not only are you sending that bad message, but you're also telling a ton of people who are excited about seeing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that their opinion is wrong and that they shouldn't be excited and that they should have been looking forward to Spawn or Rorschach or whatever other character you would have preferred. This isn't how things work. As you saw, I was very excited coming out of that trailer because I knew other people would be excited. I was excited for them. The alternative line of action, similar to what a lot of people are doing on YouTube, Twitter, and Discord, is I could have come up here on my YouTube channel and complained that it wasn't Vibe, that it wasn't Etrigan, that it wasn't Batwoman, that it wasn't Mira, that it wasn't Beast Boy, and it wasn't Vixen with their own slot instead of being a premiere skin. But I'm not angry. I'm excited because not only is most of the community getting a character that they love, but I'm getting a character that very well likely will have an amazing moveset because of the ability to switch between all those different characters, which I'm assuming is how that's going to work. But a character that's going to have some amazing interactions with characters like Batman. And furthermore, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have interacted with DC, more so than Spawn or Rorschach. Well, again, unless you count Rebirth. Batman has done crossovers with the Ninja Turtles plenty of times, and this is just another one of those crossovers in a long list of, well, hopefully more to come. Before I get into this next part of the video, I want to go ahead and thank people like this, who were able to say things like, hey, I'm disappointed because I didn't get this character or whatever, without going full nuclear like NetherRealm, these horrible people know nothing about fan service, or I'm completely done with the Injustice series. First they disappoint me with Raiden, and now this. Or going out of your way to respond to somebody who's really happy. He says he's one of the biggest Ninja Turtle fans ever, and telling them, well, it doesn't matter because it's a DC game and not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. It's just absurd. And if you're like me and you're pretty well disappointed in the community and how they've reacted reacted to this, well then I want you to be able to enjoy other like-minded individuals reacting to said reveal. If anybody is in this following compilation and you're not happy about being included in it, feel free to contact me rather than DMCAing this video.
Melina? Dude! Oh, fuck you! What the fuck? No freaking way! A ninja!
We play?
What?
Magic Lady.
Oh my god! Are you freaking kidding me?
Coming through, dude.
Are you freaking... What?
Tip on the Magic Lady.
What? Are you serious?
So yes, many people, in fact probably the majority of people, although there's no way to actually tell that, are happy and excited about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It really is kind of a big deal, right? It takes all of the rules away. Before we thought, well, the only characters we can get are characters owned by Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers does not own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, at least as far as I'm aware, and I remember doing a little bit of research about that in the past. In fact, I believe it's technically owned by Nickelodeon, so that's kind of crazy. But regardless, I want to talk about a little bit how the character should theoretically play. When we look at our traditional Ninja Turtles, we've got the nunchucks, the kais, which I've been told is the name of Raphael's daggers, so thank you very much, the swords that Leonardo runs around with, and the staff. I'm imagining that these characters, in the video I actually mentioned that they could theoretically be premiere skins for one another, but I don't think so because obviously those weapons are very specific to them. So I think they're probably, and I'm not the first one to come up with this idea, although I did mention it in my previous video, you're probably going to be able to switch between these characters in the middle of combat. There's a few pieces of evidence for this, mainly just being that first piece that I said. These characters all have very different moveset, or at least they theoretically should, because, you know, one has nunchucks, one has kais, the other has swords, and the last one has a staff. Obviously very different to fight with and can't necessarily make a premiere skin like that. So like I said, I think this is going to use the trait system. Currently with Deadshot, we have the ability to select from 3 different things, right? You got the explosive bullets, the toxic bullets, and the knockback. I think this will be very similar. You'll have your 3 different options, the people who aren't currently in play. So let's say I have Leonardo out and I want to switch to Raphael. The little trait icon in the bottom will tell me which button I have to press to bring out that member of the team, throw him out. And I'm hoping that these guys all have different health bars, although that's probably not going to be the case. It's hard to tell, obviously, because we haven't seen any gameplay, but the way that I would design this character is that altogether they have the health total of like a regular player, or maybe even just a little bit more than a regular player, or some of them will just be able to get killed with one combo, because each of them would have like 50% health of a regular person's 1 health bar, right? Because there's 4 people here. But regardless, I would split up their health bars somehow. That way you can have kind of like crazy comeback games where, you know, all of your Ninja Turtles are dead besides Leonardo, and now you have to do a comeback with just your Leonardo. I think that will create for some really awesome, not only esports moments, but just fun online moments that you can create yourself and talk about with your friends. I'm also really excited to see how much of the moveset each of these turtles keep. I would imagine it's going to be pretty similar to your variation system in like Mortal Kombat. So a majority of the stuff to do with the character will probably be kept throughout each character. So for example, let's say it's like a leap ability, like kind of like a charge ability. You jump at the opponent and you deal some damage. This is probably worse on Raphael and Michelangelo, slightly better on Leonardo because he can use his swords to kind of plunge him forward a little bit, and a lot better on Donatello because he can use the staff to kind of help him go forward. So I think you're going to see the abilities be slightly different on each character, and all of the normals to behave differently depending on which weapon you have out. I would imagine this is the direction they're going in. I can't wait to play this character because ideally it should be super fun. So I think that each of these are going to kind of specialize in their own thing. Raphael's probably going to be really good at dealing damage up close. Donatello is probably going to be that kind of long-range character, not necessarily a zoner, but poking down the opponent, using like really good air-to-air attacks. Leonardo is probably that mid-range character because he's going to be able to poke you out a little bit with the swords, but nowhere near as much as, you know, Donatello could. So therefore he's probably going to be able to combo off of it and stuff like that. And Michelangelo is probably going to be like your nice rush-down variant that's particularly good on block maybe, because maybe he can do something similar to Aquaman, you know, the trident rush ability. Maybe he'll just spin around his nunchucks while the person's blocking and get like a ton of chip damage in. That's at least how I'm imagining them all to play individually. It's also worth mentioning the reason I think these characters are all going to be the same character, you're going to have to switch between them in combat, is because if you actually look very closely, they all have the exact same gear on. I'll show you a couple different versions of this image, just taken at different frames, and you'll see that each character has the exact same gear on. The shoulder pad is the exact same, the wristband is the exact same, the bandana is the exact same, the strap going across the chest is the exact same, the belt buckle thing going on is the exact same, the knee pads, all of it is identical. So I think the way it's going to work is you're going to apply gear to one of the characters, and it's going to be the same on all of them, but of course the colors will remain the same for the respective turtle. I think it would be really cool if we could apply shaders separately to each of the characters, but I doubt we're going to be able to do that, of course. It's going to be interesting to see how they do shaders with this character. Are they going to just make it so we can have like a full-on purple turtle? I would imagine what's probably slightly more likely is that they kind of just change the shading of the skin, and then have like the shell change dramatically in color maybe, and like all the wristbands and stuff like that. I'm so excited to see what they do with gear with this character. I'm honestly looking forward to February so badly. Holding out for February. But I mean, we still have two amazing DLC characters after Hellboy, Enchantress and Adam, so it's not like we're going to be bored. We're going to have awesome characters to mess around with until we get to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but obviously they're the most dramatic of all the new characters, so they're probably worth talking about a little bit more. Nonetheless, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles regardless. Tell me what you think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially before and after this video. Have I managed to change your mind? Has your opinion remained the same? What was your opinion going into this? I'm actually genuinely curious about this. I really enjoy discussing this type of stuff, so if you've got an opinion, don't be afraid to leave it in the comment section below. My name has been Bilbzy, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.